In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get up and running with your brand new Zortrax M200. So we've got a brand new one here, and we'll just get that unboxed and show you what to do first. Okay, so if we bring our printer over to a nice level surface to get it set up, the first thing we can do is to remove the bubble wrap that you'll see. Just put that to one side. And then you've got the extruder cable here. We'll just lay that down the back. And you'll probably find that the build plate is quite tightly pressed down to this packaging. But what you can do, while the machine's turned off, this won't cause any damage. You can just slightly raise that up with a little bit of force, pushing underneath. That'll allow you to remove this part of the packaging, which contains your power cable, the spool holder, and your spool of filament, and the filament tube as well. I'll show you how to install those in a second. Just remove this bit of packaging as well. And you want to be careful of this cable in particular. This is the heated bed connection. It is a little bit fragile, so just make sure you don't catch that when you're removing anything. There's two blocks of foam as well there, so remove those. And then we have the starter kit. And this contains a pretty good toolkit actually, which has loads of tools for finishing up prints and removing the prints from the bed, as well as the heated bed itself. So this comes coated in Z liquid, which is also referred to as ABS juice sometimes, so you can mix some of that up yourself in the future and apply it. We've got a video that shows you how to do that, and you can follow the link here. So here's the plate in a little bit more detail. As you can see, it comes with a sticker. It just tells you to be careful of this small connector. This is where the bed cable I was telling you about before connects. It does stick out on top, so you need to be careful when removing prints not to damage that. Okay, and for the next part of this video, I've switched for our demo unit of the M200, just so we can show you exactly how to load up the filament and get it running. You can see we've removed the blue tape, so that's no longer there. And the next thing you'll need to do is fit your build plate to this mount. And you'll notice that it's right at the top. So you'll need to bring that down. And to do that, you can just manually rotate the threaded bar at the back of the machine. And you just need to lower it enough so there's enough clearance between the nozzle and where the build plate will go. So I'll just bring that down a little bit more. Probably need to move it around about an inch, and then that should be fine. So now, if you take your build plate, obviously remove the stickers again from this, and then just fit that in. And it rests on the 4 locators, 2 at the front and 2 at the back. Next thing you'll need to do is fit the build plate cable. So there's 2 parts to this. I'll fit the larger first. It can be a little bit fiddly while the plate is this high up. Usually it'd be a lot lower. I'll just fit that now. Okay. And then the small connector just connects onto the little connection that protrudes like that, so that's fine. The next thing you'll want to do is remove the, these axis protectors, which are just installed for packaging purposes, and they just clip off. There's 2 of these. Definitely need to make sure these are removed, otherwise when you turn it on you'll get a really loud grinding sound, and we don't want that, so make sure those are removed. Next up, I'll install the spool holder on the back, and this is in the grey piece of packaging that comes under the build plate. You'll find it in a small bag, and that just literally just clips onto the back like this. So that's nice and firmly in place. And the next thing that we'll do is insert the extruder cable clamps onto the back of the printer. You just need to remove the adhesive backing paper and then apply them on the back. So ours are already fitted here, but you can see you just apply 3 at various heights on the right-hand side of the printer here. And then you can just unclip and insert the cable and run that over the top. And this extruder cable then just fits into the top of the machine, and that just slots in really easily, like so. The next thing to add is the filament tube, and there are 2 parts to this. The smaller part will be inside your accessories box, just in a small little bag as well. And that just slots together. There's a small hole in the top, and you just fit the tube into it. And then if we go around to the back, I'll show you how to attach this. There's a small slot in the back of the machine, and you just poke that through, slot it on like that, and then the tube runs over and into the hole on the top of the print head, like so. And that's all ready to go. Everything's set up on the back there, ready to take our filament. Okay, so the next thing to do is to plug in your M200. So that just goes in here on the left-hand side, and turn on the power. And it will light up, and you'll hear the fans start to go. And then the next step is to insert your material. And to do this, you go into the menu, select material, and then select load material. And at this point, it will start heating up the extruder, ready to take the material. The next thing that you want to do is get your material ready. So this is packaged in the grey block of packaging that was here. And it's worth cutting an angle on the end of the filament that you're going to insert. So just do that with the cutters supplied in the toolkit, just like so. And then the spool just fits onto the back of the machine, onto the spool holder. And then if you just feed it through the filament guide and all the way through the tube, it's worth lifting out the tube just to see it come out. And then get 2 or 3 inches at the end of the filament and insert that into the hole in the top of the extruder. And you want to get it so it's just above the knurled wheel inside the feeder mechanism there. And just have that ready. Okay, so once the extruder is up to temperature, you will be shown this screen here. And if we just press the button to continue, the feeder motor will begin to turn. Then you'll just want to guide it through with your fingers. You might need to give it a little bit of a push. But then that will start to feed through, and then you can cover up the remainder of the filament with the tube, and the filament will begin to extrude out of the nozzle. And it's worth noting that the colour of the material that comes out initially might be slightly different from the material you've inserted, but this will just depend on the material they used in the factory to calibrate the machine. Okay, so now we're ready to do our first print. You just want to remove any of that extruded filament out of the way. Just be careful not to touch the nozzle, as it'll be really hot. And then if we go back into the menu, you need to select back and then select models, and we'll choose a model from the preset files on the SD card. So we'll choose this one here, bearing Z code, and it will give us a readout of the material that we should be using and a quick estimate of the printing time as well. So if we then scroll down to print and select print, the platform will begin to heat as well as the extruder, and then it will get underway. So now you can see that the print head is carrying out its initial calibration sequence, where it will touch down in the center sensor and also at the front left as well. And this basically just gauges the distance between the nozzle and the plate to ensure that your first layer sticks down perfectly. So now you can see it's starting to lay down the raft and the first layer of your print. And while this is happening, I'll show you the software. First of all, you need to go to the Zortrax website, and then if you select printers at the top and click on Z Suite, this will take you to the Z Suite page, and there will be a link to download the relevant Z Suite version. So here you have the options, whether you're a Windows user or Mac, and there's the firmware down there as well. I'll just show you how to do it for the Mac, as it is slightly different. So you download the software here by clicking download. You also need to make sure you download the Mono framework. It's worth bearing in mind though, this is just for Mac. For Windows, you would just need to download the software. And then you'll select the most recent version of the Mono framework, and everything will be up and running perfectly. Before you download, you'll be asked to enter the serial number, which is located on the back of the machine just above the barcode. So if we go into Z Suite, it looks exactly like this. And the first thing you'll need to do is drop in an STL file. You can just drag and drop or import it. You can move the model to anywhere you want on the build area, choosing the move tool there. And there's also the option to rotate it if you need to. You can rotate in each direction. There's also the resize tool, which will allow you to scale the model. The other tools are the auto arrange tool, which will place the model in the middle and onto the build plate, and the split object tool, which will allow you to print part of the object. You can also change the view, add objects and remove objects, so you can print more than one model at a time. And once you're ready, just click print, and this will enable you to customize the print settings. The first thing you'll want to choose is the profile, which is determined by the material that you want to print with. So if you select Z Ultra, for example, it will give you an option of layer thicknesses that will work with this material. And you can select that. So we change to ZABS, you can see you get a few more options for the layer thickness, and this is just because it knows that it can print at all of these layer thicknesses well. The next thing to choose is your speed, and you've got a choice between normal and high. And then you can select your infill amount. So you've got a choice of full, solid, medium or light. Medium's usually a good option to start with. and then you can select the support angle, which is the angle that it will start generating supports. You can go all the way up to 80 degrees, but if you don't need any supports at all, you just set it to 0 degrees. As a rough guide though, it's worth just leaving it at 20 degrees. There's also the fan speed that you can alter. Default is around 20%, but you can also put this at 0% if you want to lower it. But generally, it's best to just leave it on auto. And then once you're ready, just click Prepare to Print, and this will render out the print file for you. And once it's fully rendered out, you'll be able to inspect your model to check that it's all going to print okay. And the support structure will be shown in grey, like this. And your model will be blue. You'll also get a readout of the settings that you've chosen, and also an estimated print time and the amount of filament that you should use. If you'd like, you can insert a pause to the print, and you do that just by dragging this bar here in the pause function. And this is also a good way to inspect the internals of your model as well. You can check the infill percentage is correct. If you want to insert a pause, you just click Insert and then drag the rest of the bar to 100%. And this will pause the print and allow you to change materials if you want to. You can also calculate the cost of the print as well, just by entering how much you paid for the spool and the amount of material you're going to use. But once you're happy, just click Save to Print, save it to your SD card, and you're ready to go. Right, so that's our initial print finished. So it's ready to remove from the printer. And the first thing we can do is just turn off the power. When you're removing the print, it's always best to disconnect the cables from the back. And then just lift off the plate. And you'll need the scraper that comes in the toolkit to take the print off of the plate, and I'll show you how to do this now. Okay, so it's worth bringing your plate over to a nice solid surface and just placing it down. You notice I'm wearing the gloves, which are also supplied in your accessories box, just to save yourself catching your knuckles on the plate when you remove the print. It's worth also noting that it might be a little bit tricky to remove the first few times you do it, just where the bed is so new. The prints really do stick down quite hard. Be careful to not come into contact with the small connector that protrudes from the top of the plate again, and hold it firmly. Then just use the scraper to get underneath the print and slowly work your way down to remove the model. Okay, and so here's the finished model. As you can see, the raft's been printed on the underside, so that needs to be removed. But to do that, it's really simple. You just prise away, work your way around the model just to loosen it up, make sure you don't get any bits still attached, and just pull it off. You might get the odd little bit stuck, but you can just pull that off. And this model is particularly impressive as it works straight off the build plate. Okay, so that's everything that you'll need to get up and running with your Zortrax M200. But if you have any other questions or queries, feel free to get in contact with us or leave your comments below. The only other thing to mention is the optional side covers that you may or may not have bought with your printer. If you wanted to fit these, you can follow the instructions in our video up here.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe.
Also, come follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
You can find out more about our products and services by visiting dream3d.co.uk.